Wow. Thank you so much for being here. I think I'm feeling so privileged that I can share my story with you guys. And, amongst all these beautiful other stories, I'm really, really feeling privileged that I can stand here and just share my experience with you guys. It's really amazing. It's also amazing to be here in Groningen, because last year I actually spent a whole weekend in Groningen. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't know Groningen? It's like the city I'm from. Who doesn't know Raamsdonksveer? Raise your hands if you know Raamsdonksveer. 3 people, 4, 6 people. Well, that's not too bad, because I was born and raised in Raamsdonksveer, and it's in Brabant, and I have a Moroccan dad and I have a Dutch mom. People always like to know, you have this color, where you're from? So that's my father from Morocco, my mom from Holland. Yeah, I should say it in the correct way. And I was born and raised in Raamsdonksveer, and I actually had a beautiful life. I had a wonderful youth, and I didn't know any setback. I didn't know any misfortune whatsoever. And until that one day, Thursday the 23rd of December, 2004, when my life took a bizarre turn and it all got upside down. And I'm sure positive that everyone here in this room has this day. You can remember like the day as it was yesterday. I'm sure that everyone here has his own story, like Tina already said. Everyone has his own story. And my story, I always start my own story with one of the letters I got from my mom when I was in a certain situation. And it's too small to read here, but she said, "Life, my child, has many barriers you must cross. Most of the time you will be warned, but everyone stumbles once in their lifetime on an invisible barrier. Then, my son, you stand up and move on, and you will see a heavenly blue between the darkest clouds and flowers blooming in their full beauty. Lots of love, Mom." And I'm so thrilled that every time I can read these words out loud, because the first time I read those words, I was handcuffed. I was in a cage of a prison bus, being transferred from one prison to another prison in the country of my dad, Morocco. So as I was saying, what really happened? Well, I cannot explain thoroughly what really happened to me, but I was grown here. You can see the skyline of Raamsdonksveer. I saw that Groningen also has a beautiful skyline. They're really working on it. That was my skyline. Raamsdonksveer was a little village, and I grew up there. I had a wonderful youth. I had a lot of friends, and I went to college. I studied informatics, advanced informatics. At 20 years old, I was one of the youngest IT engineers of Holland, and a few years later, I started my own IT company, and everything went perfectly well in my life. Study, work, love, everything went great. And I had my own IT company, and one of my clients sent me out to the country of my dad, Morocco. "Would you like to work for us in Morocco?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" So I went there, I worked there a year. I was 23 years old. I worked there a year long, and I had a lot of fun. Beautiful country, beautiful people. Up until today, it's a beautiful country. I really love that country. And I had to check up on all these companies. And one day, I started my routine again, and I checked up on one company, and I saw people with guns, people shouting, people crying, and I was like, wow, what's going on? And I wanted to know for my client. So I got out of the car, I went to the gate, and I asked what was going on. And there was this guy, he was a customs officer. He went up to my place, and he said, "Who are you and what do you want?" He said it in Moroccan. I couldn't understand it. So I replied to him in French, because I was brought up with Dutch and French. And I said, "My name's Joseph, and I'm from Holland, and I'm here for my work." And he said, "Come with me." And he showed me 2 vans parked on the lot of that company. And he opened those vans, and I saw all these brown packages. It was all full, stacked. And he said, "Wow, there's 8,000 kilos of drugs, of hashish, here in these cars." And I was like, whoa, that's a lot. So police came, and they heard that I was from Holland. I had to come down to the station, and they questioned me. And I was really, I was pretty excited, like in NCIS and CSI Miami. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you all my answers. And by the end of the night, I thought I'd be going home just before Christmas. I was planning to take the plane and go home, back to my mom to have presents and eat. But then the commander of this police station, he came up to me with my passport in his hand, and he said, "Joseph, it was this passport. And no, those aren't bullet holes." Once a little old lady, she said, "Are those bullet?" No, it's just perforated because it's not valid anymore. But this passport, and he said, Joseph, Mr. Oubelkas, he said, I'm sorry, but you have to stay here. Would you please give us your shoelaces and your belt, because we find it really suspicious that you have this many stamps in your passport. And that's how my nightmare got started. But he said to me, don't worry, because tomorrow you'll be leaving home. Don't worry, it will all be fine. But I didn't go home. And days all of a sudden turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. And I was imprisoned in this world of sirens and of noises and of big high walls with barbed wire and bars, and a world I only knew from the movies. This could not happen to me, not me, come on. But I thought everything will be fine. That's what they said to me, everything will be fine. Until that day, a few months later, that I got my conviction, and then I was judged to 10 years imprisonment. And I was standing there, convinced that I would be going home, but they said, no, you have to stay here until the 23rd of December 2014. And then I knew a kind of sadness, a kind of emotion that I never experienced before in my young life. I just turned 24, and I really hope that no one will ever experience such a sadness that I had. And even the Dutch government, because I say, all right, I'm innocent, but you know, a lot of people say, yeah, I'm innocent. My mom knew, I knew, my mom knew, my friends knew, but luckily also the Dutch government. They meddled in the case with their own lawyer, and he said, this is unreal. I don't know why this young man is over there, but he doesn't even earn a ticket fine, a parking fine. That's what the independent trust lawyer said of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Holland. And they later also explained to the newspapers that I should not have been convicted. And I was so relieved. And I thought everything's going to be fine now. But it wasn't. And that's how real prison life to me started. And I always say, I write it literally in my book, that I don't have words to explain the world, the underworld that we lived in. All those people, how we lived over there, you have to see it on images. You have to see how all these people were, like stacked up together. And we had to save up room, so we slept like fish in cans. That's what they say, like sardines in a can. So I slept there with here a pair of feet, here a pair of feet, there are people. On such a small space. And it got so crowded that even people laid down blankets on the toilet so people could sleep on the toilet. And you know what? I can talk and go on and hours talking about this life, but I'm not going to do that. Because people always wonder, how do you survive this? How come you're standing over there and apparently you're doing fine? Yes, I'm doing fine. I'm doing even more than fine because I chose to be fine. I always say you have this inner strength, this character you have. Just take it from me, you are stronger than you think. That's what I want to say. But in my case, what helped me through all these years was that my mom wrote me letters. Not one, not two, no, 400 letters she wrote me. And of course she wrote me, kid, we think of you, son, we love you, and you have to maintain, you have to go on, you have to hold on, do it not for yourself, but also for us. Of course she wrote that to me. But she also wrote me, focus, take responsibility, determine goals, and reach them. And I was like, wow, how can I determine goals in an environment like this? How can I do this? But she said, if you want to succeed, you will. That's what she wrote to me. If you want to succeed, you will. And then another thing she said, and that was the truth. It was like a blow in my face, and I got tears when I read it. But it was the truth, because she said to me, kid, you have to do it yourself. You have to do it yourself, my son. And I was thinking, wow, and she's right. I have to do it myself, because she said to me, no one can get you out of prison right now. The only thing we can do is how you maintain it, how you hold on to this situation right now. And all of a sudden, I started realizing, started doing entrepreneurship within the walls, is how I'd like to call it. So I was my own entrepreneur of my own life. And I saw the little things. I started realizing what I really had. All right, I didn't have my freedom, but what I really had. I started seeing those little things, and I always talk about the birds and the storks coming over every year. I all of a sudden saw the blue skies turning from blue into orange, into black, and then the stars came up. I started seeing those little things and started determining goals. My first goal was I'm going to learn Moroccan. I'm going to learn Arabic, right? Read it. Are there any Moroccans here in this room? Don't be afraid, I'm half, so you can tell. Groningen doesn't have any Moroccan people? No? Oh. Well, that's a shame, because then I could prove to you guys that I actually speak Moroccan fluently right now. It's a hard language, but I maintained. And all of a sudden, I started doing things that I didn't ever think of, a kind of unthinkable leadership, how I would like to call it, unthinkable leadership, because I started working in a shop. This big prison, like 5,000 to 6,000 people were incarcerated over there, and they had a little shop. And every Wednesday, it was our turn, our department, to go and get stuff we needed. Like rice or water or whatsoever. So every Wednesday, we were standing there, and I was standing in line. It was a big line. It was like a couple hundred people. I was standing there, and there was someone standing next to me, and here standing next to me as well. And they were like, oh, man, this is taking a lot of time. Can they hurry up a little? And I was standing there. I was like, yeah, you guys, do you have something to do afterwards, or do you have some appointment, or where are you going? And they were like, oh, yeah, true. Yeah, true. So it's so easy to complain, that's the most easy thing to do. The easiest thing to do is to complain. So it was my turn, and the guard, he was standing in front of me, the guard of this shop, and he was in sweat, and he was working. He was like, what do you want? I was like, shall I help you? He was like, help me? Yeah, help you, and I'm packing things for you, and I'm going to give it to you, and you can work the line a little faster. And he was like, okay. So I helped him from that day on, every Wednesday, and it all went a little faster. And there was this guy coming up to me, this Moroccan guy. He said, wow, you speak English, don't you? And I said, yeah, I speak English a little. Not that good, but I hope you guys understand me, what I'm saying now. So like, oh yeah, what does he say? So he came up to me, would you be able to teach me English? And I was, yeah, I will. And he sat next to me with all these pieces of paper, and we started like, I am, you are, just the basics. And other people saw that. Other inmates, my fellow inmates, said, oh, we want that too. And I got a key from a guard. It wasn't the front key. It was like, no. No, there was a little classroom, and I saw all these little chairs and a blackboard with all these crayons you call them, don't you? And I started teaching them English. 15 to 20 my students, they were sitting there. Yeah. And my mom, every month she sent me a parcel with stuff. Oh, wow, I'm already talking for 12 and a half minutes already. So I'm going to pace it up a little. You guys, you didn't know I was already talking for 12 and a half minutes, did you? Wow. So, but we have time, don't we, Mark? All right, sorry. So my mom, every month she sent me a parcel with 2 hard peas. And in a letter she wrote, put them in a jar with water and see what happens. So I did, as he told me. I did, and little green plants grew out of it, and I liked it. And the guard came up to me and he said, in the cell, because we were like 30, 40, 50 people in this little room, and said, who's dead? And I was like, oh, it's mine. And he came up to me and said, oh, cute, nice. So, cute, nice, yeah. So I explained to him the story that my mom sent me all these flower seeds, and he asked me, could you please ask your mom if she would send me some flower seeds as well? And I said, Mom, and she did. And he planted all those flower seeds, and beautiful flowers came out, and he asked me, would you like to have a prison garden here in prison? So I started gardening from that day on. Yeah, you know this commercial from the Gamma? Yeah? Oh. All right, so, and I also started giving sports class, and I started learning language next to French and Dutch and English I already spoke, a little German as well, and Moroccan. I also started learning Spanish, and I had to work as a translator for the principal, for the warden. And I managed to create this own little world of freedom within these high walls. That's the choice I made at that time, and that's what I want to say. That somebody says humanity you used as weapon, or a shield, how you would like to call it. Not by fighting or with fighting. And no, I just stayed myself, and I like to help people, and that's how I got to raise my status within these walls, luckily. And then I always say, from weakness to strength, make this weakness, embrace it, and make it part of your life. And that's why these days I'm getting invited by big companies, and they say, well, could you please talk for our employees with themes like dealing with change and dealing with adversity and leadership? And so, just by telling my story? Yeah, just by telling your story. Okay. And I like it. I really love it. I'm really enjoying this moment right now, and I just want to go to the 5 pillars Normally I talk about the 3 pillars: health, love, and freedom. Those 3 things, if you have those 3, you can build your own personal luck around it. Then you're a real rich person. Health, love, and freedom. And if you miss one of these 3 things, please see and enjoy what you do have. I didn't have my freedom at that time, but I still had my health, and I still had the love. Not the touchable love, which I really missed, just a hug from my mom or from my dad, but the untouchable love through those letters. I realized what I really had. And I want to add 2 more. Believe in yourself. Always remember that they can take away everything from you except for who you are. Because you are unique, who you are. Don't ever let them take it away from you. And perseverance. You have to go on. That's what my mom said. You have to go on. Keep breathing. Keep going on. I just want to share that with you guys. And I know, be the leader of your own life, and I know that every one of you guys experiences on one day, or maybe you already experienced it, something intense or dramatic. But be the leader of your own life. Just know how you want to be the leader of your own life. I just want to end this with saying that I'm so proud of what I have here. You know, don't worry, it's not a gun, it's not some... It's just this Christmas card, which I want to show to you guys. Because my mom, every month, she sent me all Christmas cards, and it's not just a Christmas card. She made it by hand. She made it by hand. Not only this one, but 200 other Christmas cards for my fellow inmates, because my mom said, just to make sure that your fellow inmates are not forgotten. The worst thing that can happen to you in life is that you're being forgotten. And she made it, and I will never forget that day that all these cards on my department were just hanging there behind the bars, just in the wind. And I want to end with one of the stories of my mom, because I'm so proud of her, and I'm so privileged to have a mom, because I know now that I don't take it for granted that I have this beautiful mom, because before I said, yeah, I have this beautiful mom, and yeah, but not everyone has a mom like I have. And I always hope, if you don't have a mom like mine, I really sincerely hope that you have a dad or a brother or sister or partner or someone in your life that also supports you. I just want to end with these words from my mom. Be brave and never become resentful. You only have yourself, and others will eventually turn away from you. Don't be nervous for the kind of task you will have in life, whatever that may be. Experience your life as a strong man. I will do the same as a strong woman. Let life come to you like waves running in shore. And this is my mom. That's my mom. You can, Mom, look at all these people. I'm so proud of my mom. And I just want to thank you all just for listening to my story. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you. It's